Oiler fans are buzzing about this as the team ends the regular season on a high by beating the San Jose Sharks 3-0 last night, and we finally get set up for the Stanley Cup playoffs against the LA Kings. The NHL took forever to release the first round schedule, but we finally know when the Oilers are playing their first game of the first round against the LA Kings. But all that and more today on Oilers Digest. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, folks, make sure you do so. We are getting into crunch time in the NHL seasons. The playoffs are starting to begin, and 75% of you watching these videos have not yet subscribed for any and all Oiler content, as it's going to get very juicy during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Lots of bad blood with the LA Kings. Stay tuned here to Oilers Digest. But without further ado, let's recap game 82. 82 up, 82 down, and we will get right into it. Blanked at the tank. Yes, last night Stuart Skinner and the Edmonton Oilers blanked the San Jose Sharks, the struggling San Jose Sharks, but that is not any fault of theirs at all. I mean, still a rebuilding young team that is going to be very scary in the near future. But last night, not so much, as the Oilers take this one 3-0 off the back of Connor McDavid and Stuart Skinner. Just taking a look at the scoring summary here. Ty Emberson with his second goal of the season, both his goals coming against his former team, the San Jose Sharks. So he seems to be loving whenever he sees his former team on the schedule there, assisted by Connor McDavid and Jeff Skinner in the second period there. Max Jones with his first as an Oiler on the doorstep from Adam Henrique and Ty Emberson with his second point of the game, and Corey Perry puts the exclamation point on it. That's a tough word to say here, folks. Exclamation point on this one off of a fantastic defensive effort from Kasperi Kapanen on Macklin Celebrity, stripping him of the puck, finding Corey Perry, and Corey Perry finding the back of the net, making it 3-0 Oilers. Now that is Connor McDavid, yet another 100-point season for Captain 97 Connor McDavid. There would have been, a whole lot more in a row if it wasn't for that 2019-2020 season that was shortened. 97 points in 64 games. He would have gotten to 100. There's no doubt about it, but still very special that we are seeing this night in and night out from the captain, even when it seemed to be a quote-unquote down year for 97, when it's not, his prototypical dominant season. But I mean, 100 points and not even a full game slate here, full 82 game slate for Connor McDavid, still extremely dominant there. McDavid hit the 100-point plateau for 5th straight season and for the 8th time in his career. Should have been 9, becoming the 4th player in NHL history to do so, with Wayne Gretzky doing it 15 times, Mario Lemieux at 10, and Marcel Dion at 8. Being the other 3 players who have done that very dominant milestone there. Nothing not special about that at all. And Kris Knoblauch still marveling at the fact that even though he's seen Connor McDavid since junior with the Erie Otters, it's still special night in and night out. I don't think you can ever get used to that, no matter how long he's been doing it. Surprisingly, he only had 1 point with how many plays he made in the amount of time he had the puck on his stick, but it's remarkable for anyone to accomplish what he's accomplished. Obviously, there's a very gifted and driven player in there. Just taking a look at the game stats here, 28-18 shots on goal here in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Both teams going 0 for 2 on their power plays. Meanwhile, San Jose dominating Edmonton on the dot there, 27-13. Well, I don't think I've seen that in quite some time, just not in any Oiler game, but just in any NHL game in general there. But the Oilers 25 block shots compared to San Jose's 11, which is a big part of helping Stuart Skinner secure his 18 save shutout there, with Ty Emberson getting the first star of the game, 1 goal, 1 assist for a +2 with a time on ice of 22-28 there, with the Oilers only having 5 defensemen, with the Darnell Nurse suspension. They did call up Connor Carrick, but unfortunately, because of Nurse's suspension, that didn't qualify under, the emergency recall with Connor Carrick there. So the Oilers playing with 5 defensemen. Stuart Skinner surprisingly not getting the first star of the game there, 18 saves, and then Alexander Georgiev with the 3rd star with a 9.26 on the night there. And Stuart Skinner, when it comes to, the Oilers team defense as a whole, says it's impressive not giving up too many shots against. Of course, the Oilers in Stuart Skinner's last 2 starts have only given up 36 shots on goal, 18 against the Winnipeg Jets and 18 against the San Jose Sharks. It kind of says that we're keeping them on the outside for a majority of it. I think at the same time, it's block shots. Like I said, 25 shots blocked last night by the Oilers. Huge defensive, mindset on this team. Guys are getting in the lanes and doing everything they can to make sure they don't have a chance to get a shot on net or a goal. So it's really important, especially coming down down the stretch here, when you get a shutout, you have a lot to give to your teammates for that. And of course, the Sharks' scoring chances barely got near the crease against Stuart Skinner last night, so the Oilers keeping the Sharks to the outside, and that'll be an important part against the LA Kings in the first round. Of course, the LA Kings come at you in waves with that dominant offensive force they have. Quentin Byfield, former Oiler Warren Foegele, Kevin Fiala, so on and so forth there. So a good warm up for the Oilers heading into the first round of the playoffs there. Again, the 5 defensemen all playing more than 20 minutes last night. Evan Bouchard, without Matisse Ekholm in the first round, you're going to need him to step up in a massive way like we all saw him do last spring there in the Stanley Cup run for the Oilers. 22-45 time on ice. Josh Brown, threw a few hits there. I mean, when he's on the team, that's really all he should be doing. He's a big body, and he threw a couple big hits. Cam Dineen, 23-17, had a pretty decent night there. Ty Emberson against his former team, 22-28, and then Brett Kulak, a staggering 27-53. I thought he was, the best Oiler defenseman by far last night. Again, without Mattias Ekholm, we are going to need to see, a good chunk of these guys step up in the lineup. Of course, Darnell Nurse, Jake Wallman when he comes back into the Oiler dressing room, are all healthy, or at least hopefully all healthy. So, yeah, Matisse Ekholm, he is not replaceable, but you can try your best to make sure everybody else in that room steps up. And, of course, Stuart Skinner, again, 18 saves in a fantastic night between the pipes for him. Of course, 18 shots, but still few key saves there on William Eklund, Tyler Toffoli, to say the least. So, great game all around here for the Edmonton Oilers. Just taking a look at the hockey stat chart here. A big defensive game, like I mentioned there, 25 block shots and everyone pitching in on the defensive side. I mean, the only time the chart didn't like some players was just on the offensive side. And again, wasn't, a lot of bad games by anybody last night. Just if it wasn't a bad game, it was just more so on the quiet side here, and maybe some guys not taking it as seriously or going as hard as they will be next week against the Kings, which is always good. Rest yourself, but still try to, give some sort of effort during this game there. And, Stuart Skinner, in his mentality against, a weaker team against the Sharks, and then comparing it to the LA Kings, you want to stay with the same mentality as tonight going into the first round. You don't want to try too much when you're going into a playoff game, but it's going to be a lot of energy and a lot of work going into it. I think for me, just building off of this, I thought I played well, shook a little bit more rust off, and I'm ready to go for the first round. That's exactly what we need a guy like Stuart Skinner to do. Of course, he can be very inconsistent in the Stanley Cup playoffs, so hopefully he sort of recognizes, hey, another passing year, another chance to get better. And hopefully, Stuart Skinner takes the moment, seizes the moment, and steals some games for the Oilers against, Darcy Kemper, a goalie who's been in the heads of many Oilers time and time again there. But Kris Knoblauch, with some final, thoughts on this regular season, says it feels good to finish out the regular season with a win, but we know the challenge ahead is going to be a difficult one. Now, these, the videos these past couple weeks, I know has been very, pessimistic, but let's just take a look at the schedule ever since, McDavid and Draisaitl, all the injuries just started to happen in a row there. When it rained, it poured there, but the Oilers managed to keep their head afloat with some big wins there against the Calgary Flames, Vegas Golden Knights. Sure, they lost, they lost a few. There was that blowout against the Seattle Kraken, the 3-0 loss against the Los Angeles Kings, the 3-2 loss against the Anaheim Ducks, which probably cost them the home ice advantage there, but still some big wins against, powerhouses in the Western Conference, especially the Winnipeg Jets. Sure, Winnipeg didn't start Connor Hellebuck in net, but they did start a good chunk of their Game 1 roster, of course, in their series against the St. Louis Blues. So some good building blocks for this Oiler team to take with them into the postseason. I mean, the regular season is all done, but folks, what's next for the Edmonton Oilers? Well, the real games begin. Welcome to where the big boys step up in the Stanley Cup playoffs. There you can see the playoff bracket. The Oilers on the less chaotic side of the bracket there, that top one with the all Central Division teams, is just daunting there. It'll be a bloodbath to see who comes out of that one in the conference finals. But in the other series, Vegas Golden Knights against the Minnesota Wild, which should be a very interesting one. Minnesota dealing with a lot of injuries. And they have, key guys like Joel Eriksson-Ek and Kirill Kaprizov back in that one. So it's interesting to see what'll happen. And again, the East, every series, except maybe the Washington-Montreal series, just absolute toss-up there. I mean, Toronto, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Florida, and Carolina, New Jersey. But again, another bloodbath to get through that side of the bracket there. But hopefully the Oilers can repeat last year and hopefully be on the other outcome there. But the Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings, the 4th year in a row. This time the Oilers start on the road, and they don't start until Monday, April 21st, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain there on Sportsnet. And good news, everybody, Jack Michaels and Louis DeBrusque will be the commentary team for the Oilers this year. The past 3 years, it hasn't been them, but finally we get something on our side here. Jack and Louis will be the broadcast team, but the Oilers, Kings, Crypto.com Arena Monday night because of the Lakers and every other sort of scheduling, snafu that the NHL has to navigate around for the NHL playoffs, but should be a very, very interesting one. Now from Jack Michaels here, the projected lines game 1 at LA. It says this is purely a guess based on speculation by yours truly, but have at it for fun. But I mean, the guy's seen this team for 82 plus games this year, so I think he'd have a pretty good idea on who is starting. Skinner, McDavid, in Connor Brown, Vasily Podkolzin, Leon Draisaitl, and Victor Arvidsson, and then Evander Kane or Trent Frederick. Either one of those two depends on who is ready and who is not, with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, and then Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, and Corey Perry. Now, if both of those players with Kane or Frederick, if they can go, I do expect a guy like Matthias Janmark to be brought out of the lineup because sure, playoff Matthias Janmark is a different animal, but hasn't really done much all year. And either Kane or Frederick, rip-roaring, ready to go here for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I would expect Janmark to come out for either one of those two. But you can see Jeff Skinner, folks, after 1,078 NHL games, he finally gets a taste of playoff hockey. His first playoff game since the 2010 playoffs with the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL. So he was a wee lad last time he played some playoff hockey. Now this time he gets to do it for the Edmonton Oilers, the orange and blue, for the very first time. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game. The good, the bad, the ugly. Let me know what you thought, and how excited are you for the Stanley Cup playoffs? I'm very interested to see what's your big upset pick for the first round. For me, I'm going to go St. Louis over Winnipeg. I mean, the Blues, Jordan Binnington, 2019, shaded 2019 all over again. Sure, the Blues, after that big 12-13 game winning streak, they went on a bit of a slide, but I think, when, the games matter, this Blues team can do some very serious damage. But I'm very interested to know. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. It's playoff hockey. Playoff hockey in Edmonton is back for yet another year. I'm very excited. Hopefully you are all excited as well, but have a great rest of your Thursday, folks. Take care.